if you recall, when you filled in your responses to the adjective checklist, there were two sections. One that said, tell us how you think you really are. The second section was, tell us how you think other people expect you to be or act. And the purpose of that is to gain your perspective. After all, you're filling it out. Your perspective of how you feel you need to modify your behavior based on the world that you're living in today. Now, the first section, the blue charts, typically doesn't change much once you're an adult, because we are who we are. But the adjustments do change because we live in a changing world with changing circumstances. So, depending on who you work for, the products that you're working with, your clients, your boss, all of those things impact how you feel you need to be. So these adjustments will change over time. And the way that we read this, and this is the section that will have the red chart, is we look to see where a particular trait begins, and if you look carefully, you'll see there's a small blue dot. That's where your trait begins, and how that trait is being adjusted. Now, this happens to be my own personality profile report, and this big arrow that we see here is in my patience trait. And this is saying that I perceive a need to be more patient than I am. And I am guilty as charged. I do feel a need to be more patient than I am. And also, you can see a very long arrow in the column that is fact-feeling oriented. And my natural behavior is to be very intuitive. But I work in a field and an area where metrics and data is very important, and I recognize that, so I do what I need to do. Behavioral adjustments are not good, they're not bad, they just are, and this section reflects that. It also captures two additional areas. As a result of looking at the difference in your responses from section 1 to section 2, the profile is able to calculate a morale measurement and an energy drain. An energy drain is calculated by looking at the behavioral adjustments somebody needs to make and where their morale factor is. And these will change as your life changes. So it's not a matter of good information or bad information. It's not good news or bad news. It just is. And I know that when you have an opportunity to do your profile a second time or a third time, and it's not something you need to do once a week, but once a year is a pretty interesting exercise, you're going to turn first to section 2 because you'll be more interested in seeing your adjustments, because by now you'll have already known what your basic natural self is. So that's the reason for section 2. Everything in the graph is spelled out in the narrative.